Okay, so I got a really good question in my YouTube comments about being an NCAA athlete and how that translates to being a professional athlete. And I had my own opinions on how I would answer it, but I realized that I am like 15 years, 16 years post-grad, and things have changed, and I only know it from the swimming perspective. And so I wanted to enlist a few friends to help me answer this question. So we have Grace Alexander and Kaylee Slade, who are joining me. So maybe to start this off, most of the viewers probably know me. I swam at the University of Georgia, and then I did become a pro triathlete after college. I've been a pro for about 10 years now. And but maybe each of you could tell us, you know, what your background is in the NCAA and how long you've been a professional athlete.
Yeah. So I swam at the D2 level at Rollins College. I focused on the distance freestyle events, which translates pretty well over to triathlon. And I turned pro in 2020, so I took a few years off after college from like all athletics, and then just found triathlon. And here we are.
Okay, and Kaylee, you're a runner. I needed a runner to.
I'm kind of the opposite, I feel like, with swimming. I mean, running is nothing like it, but yeah, I ran at Emory University, which is a D3 college. Took it kind of seriously, so it was kind of just more fun for me, but yeah, so I ran there, and then I have been a pro for 4 months now. So a baby pro.
We love it. We love having you. So I think that is something we should talk about, like looking back, you know, now on like in general, like how do you feel about your NCAA athletic career? I think, you know, when I look at myself, like I was a 200 backstroker primarily in the pool, which is about a 2-minute event. I sometimes swim the 400 IM, which is a very difficult event, but it's 4 to 5 minutes. It's pretty short. And to me, those events felt so long. And also I think I'm really proud of my NCAA career. I was part of a national championship team in 2005, and that was just so incredible. I was not like an individual NCAA champion. I was not an Olympian. I did go to the Olympic trials. I did get to swim with Olympians. I did get to swim with individual NCAA champions, and I learned a lot from them. And I think when I look back on my career, like I'm really impressed with myself because I feel like I did pretty well. But I definitely, like in the moment, I don't think I appreciated exactly like what I had and how good I was, because I was always measuring myself to people who were a lot better. I don't know if you have a similar experience, or if you felt differently, or how do you look back on your NCAA athletic career?
Yeah, I think it would be kind of similar, really. I chose the school I went to because it was a more like chill vibe. My older brother swam there, so I went to some of his swim meets and noticed that the team was really relaxed, the coach was really cool, and I didn't really want to be like one of those all-in swimmers that went to a big D1 school where you're kind of expected to want to go to the Olympics. So when I was at Rollins, I wasn't like a focused swimmer, I would say. I had no urge to continue after graduation. But I was really proud of what I was able to do in the pool, because I did end up with 3 school records in the distance events by my 3rd year there. And that was not something that I had a goal of doing. But coming from that background with swimming at Rollins, I think that environment was really good for me to do that kind of stuff, because it was very relaxed and it wasn't a lot of pressure. So I liked it and I was proud of it.
Yeah. How about you, Kaylee? Did you feel a lot of pressure when you were in school, or to compete as an athlete?
Definitely not. I feel like I keep finding myself in like higher level athletics than I really expect myself to be in, because even in high school, I had no intentions of running in college. My coach, who was actually my art teacher at the time, had like written to the coach at Emory and was like, hey, I think she'd be a great addition to your team. And then like gave me a letter one day on my desk that was like, hey, they want you to come up and like do a little recruiting meeting. And I was kind of like, okay. I never just had even considered doing it. So then went and did it, loved it, was the slowest one on the team first year, had never ran more than 4 miles. So I was going into cross country as not a distance runner really. I did like the mile on the track and that was it. So then went there, kind of rose my way through, I guess. I kind of started bottom. Second year I was probably like mid-pack, and then by my senior year I was like top 10, so I was able to go to like UA or the all regions and then to the national races. So I worked my way up, but not really. I mean, the pressure was only if I wanted it to be there. I think D3 athletics is kind of what you want to get out of the sport. So I think it was good for me. It kind of taught me to kind of work as hard as I wanted to get out of it, which is kind of beneficial now with triathlon because it's such an individual, like, work hard sport. But yeah, and then same with this, like, I just had no expectations of ever biking or swimming or anything. So yeah.
Is there anything you would have done different now when you look back, if you're giving advice to a current collegiate runner? Do you have any advice?
So if there's anyone who is wanting to try triathlon, I think I would say take cross training more seriously, because I mean, a lot of athletes, especially runners, tend to have injuries throughout their career. I think it's pretty common. I know I spent a lot of time aqua jogging, watching the swimmers swim, but I was like, I don't know how to do any of this, so I'm just going to put a belt. But I think I should have tried swimming. I know some of the girls on the team knew how to swim, and so they would cross train with swimming. Same with biking. Like, we would put the bike out on the track and like just watch people, but we didn't really take it that seriously. It kind of just felt like cross training. But I think like benefiting from actually putting together some workouts, I think like structured bike workouts as well as swimming workouts when you're injured could help both your running, because I'm way faster now than I ever was in college. So I think like just taking that a little more seriously, and yeah, I think that would probably be a big piece of advice because you can't do too much, obviously, besides what your coach says. But during injury time, it's a great time to do it.
Yeah. Grace, how about you? Is there anything you'd do different about your collegiate swimming career?
Honestly, I don't really think so. I more so look at my swimming career and take pieces of that and try to apply it to my current triathlon career, because when I was swimming in college, again, I wasn't like a super focused athlete, so I was having a lot of fun and making like not a lot of pressure, making friends, and we had fun not only in the pool but out of the pool. And so now, being a professional athlete, it's really easy to think that you need to be very structured and serious and like lose the fun sometimes. So I find that I race best when I'm in a good state of mind, enjoying life. And I think taking parts of my college career and applying that now to making sure that I'm having groups to train with and people to talk to while I'm, working hard has been really helpful. And so any advice that I have would just be to find the fun in it and keep it, and don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah, and my advice is totally separate. I'm like, take it super serious. I actually wish I had been more serious. I really do. I was pretty serious, but I think that it was just an incredible opportunity to have that kind of facility, to have that kind of coaching staff, to have training partners, to have a pool that's open that many hours, and nice hours of the day, and a gym and weight room and just different staff people. I kind of wish I had taken more advantage of that, and I did. And I also wish I would have slept more. Like, I do think that's the biggest thing. I was pretty into school and like trying to get good grades and graduate on time and whatever on time means. And I just had this, vision in my head of all that kind of thing. And I think I wore myself out for sure. My last 2 years, I was so tired. And it took me like a year or two post-college to kind of like get that, get myself together where I could, I felt like I wasn't totally exhausted. But I think it was an intense swimming program, and it was also an intense school program, and I wanted to do everything well, and ended up kind of getting very tired. But sleep. I do remember a lot of my more successful teammates were really prioritizing sleep, and I wish I had done that. So I try to do that now. I want to ask, both of you, I think, became pro triathletes while you were in grad school. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, when we talk about balancing school and sport, I mean, you really have done it because you've done it both as an undergrad and then as a grad student. And so I'd love to hear, is there any difference there? Maybe we'll start with Grace.
Between now and training?
Well, yeah, like,
school?
or would you recommend someone, start, if you were thinking about becoming a pro athlete, do you think it's a good thing to do while you're in grad school because you have more things going on, or is it better when you're post-grad?
I mean, it is what you make of it, I think. I think my grad school, at least, was more flexible, so I was able to fit in training at specific points throughout the day. My first year in grad school was very stressful because I was also a graduate research assistant, and I was working 2 part-time jobs, so that was extremely stressful. But the second year I dropped the GRA position and one of the part-time jobs, and you get used to it. Whatever your new normal becomes, you find a way to make it work. And so I think if you want to pursue both education and athletics, it's definitely doable.
Yeah. How about you?
I always recommend to people like a slow build into it because I wasn't a professional when I started vet school, and kind of because I didn't think I would have time. So I was like, okay, I'll start fitting in workouts when I can. And the original goal was just to do an Ironman. So that was like, I haven't done one yet, but that was like the goal getting into it, but not to do it competitively. It was just to complete. So I would, when I had any free time or if a class got canceled or if anything gave me free time, I would put a workout in there. And it was just a slow build to eventually I realized I could balance it. And once I got to that point, I was like, okay, I think I can take it more seriously and I can make more structured workouts around it, which was a year. That took me a year of getting to that point. It wasn't fast. And then once I got there, I was able to just keep building on and adding more volume to it and just kind of squeezing in things when I could. I don't know if my schedule is perfect compared to other professional athletes, as well as, like you say, sleep. Like sometimes I do have to stay up late and get some studying in that I couldn't get in because I had a 5-hour day of working out. So I think it's not as perfect, and I also recognize like the limitations that I might have with it. So I'm again building slowly. Like I am not looking to peak in the sport anytime soon. I just kind of want to keep myself like moving forward at a slower progress, and then hopefully by the time I graduate, get through clinics, which is going to be a whole nother story, I can like kind of make the decision to like go a little more into triathlon and like maybe put that a little bit on the back burner, because once you have your DVM, you have your DVM. So
yeah. Kaylee, I would love to know, since you're a runner here, do you have any advice for track athletes who want to go pro in triathlon?
Yeah, I've actually gotten this question a few times. I've definitely thought about it. I've learned that the best thing in triathlon you can possibly have is time. And so if you're even considering doing a triathlon at the age of like 18, 19, 20, 21, like you have so much time. And I think that if you kind of make that decision early on, you can very easily start getting better at the other 2 sports, because I don't know how well running translates to cycling or swimming. I know for me it has been pretty difficult. I didn't pick it up naturally. And I think especially if you do have any experience swimming, that's just definitely icing on the cake. I started swimming a year and a half ago, so I'm an adult learner, and it has been a pretty big struggle. And I think with that as well, maybe doing it in college, and you may even have access to friends who are on the swim team, because I did have friends on the swim team, and Mike could have had a little lessons here or there, or even some of my teammates that were runners were great swimmers. So I think taking advantage of other people to kind of help you get in the pool and start working on swim technique early on would be a pretty big piece of advice. And cycling is something that can come with time, so I wouldn't feel rushed. Like, I don't think I would have started cycling in college, but as soon as I graduated, I think I would have tried to get, an intro-level beginner bike and start getting out. So, yeah.
Grace, how about you? Any advice for swimmers who want to become professional triathletes maybe one day?
Yeah, I guess with swimming, we're lucky that it's a pretty low risk and injury sport. So if you're starting to pick up running, be smart about it, be slow, and don't rush the process at all, particularly with the run. And start out with walk runs and maybe add some strength that we'd naturally do on dry land, add that into the regiment. But with the bike, getting a bike fit, and just like Kaylee said, the earlier you can start, the better. It's just getting the body adapted to those movements. So get started and go smart.
Yeah, I will echo the giving yourself time to build up the run. I think it's taken me a decade, of just just very small bits of progress, because the problem with being a swimmer is that you have this big aerobic engine, but you aren't used to the impact. And so it just takes a little bit of time, but it comes around. So, okay. What about, what we're doing right now, the social media side of sport? And at least when I was in school, that didn't exist. I think Facebook was invented while I was in college. And so things have changed now. And now we have name, image, likeness laws where NCAA athletes can make money off of social media. So I don't know if either of you, we all kind of might have missed that a little bit, but knowing the social media kind of requirements, or not necessarily requirements, but it is part of a professional sport. Do you have advice for collegiate athletes to maybe get going on that while they're in college, so then they can use it as a springboard to more financial success when they are pro?
I think social media is kind of a skill at this point, and some people seem to just naturally be really good at it, and I unfortunately am not one of those people, but I think that you can get better at it. So if that is something that you're pursuing, and it's definitely becoming a huge part of being an athlete in a sport, is getting your face out there, your name, and showing your sponsors, it's important. So learning what you can do to be better and finding your own voice on social media, how to be genuine and how to be yourself, is important. So learning from people that you trust, or I think there are courses you can take maybe, but
yeah, I think they do have courses nowadays in undergrad on social media, but probably marketing. I think with social media, you do have to kind of have a passion for it. You do have to want to put yourself out there and kind of, like you said, find your voice and what you want people to see as you, which needs to obviously be as authentic, because that's kind of what's going to make people want to watch it and want to interact and kind of support you. But I also think that if it's not something you're super passionate about, you can also work really hard and be the best, and you can also get sponsorships that way. So I think that you don't have to look at it as the only route of getting or being a successful athlete as a professional. But I think it can be fun too. I know I still have Instagram pictures from 2012, when it basically first came out, and I have just always viewed it as my photo journal. So I know if you go to your grandparents' house and they have their little flip journals of all their photos, and this is my version of it. It's this has been me since I was 15. And that's just kind of how I've carried out my Instagram and my social media. And I think you can also look at it that way if you don't want it to have to be a very over-the-top thing. It's just your own flip journal. So hopefully when I'm 80, I can go back and look at my life in pictures. So
yeah, well, hopefully when I'm 80 and you two are a little bit younger, we can go back and look at this video and remember our wonderful time. But thank you so much for helping me give additional perspectives on how NCAA careers, in different sports can lead to a professional triathlon career. And I think that's pretty cool. So hopefully there'll be more following our footsteps.